Namaste and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sathology Debunking Mythology. Sat means truth, Logos means a study or science, Sathology means a science of truth or study of truth. On the other hand, mythology means a science of fake lie imagination or study of fake lie imagination. The Western academic scholars call all the Vedic history, Ramayana and Mahabharata, as mythology because if they say it's truth, which we say it's truth, it's pathology, not mythology, then their entire basis of Western timelines will disappear. Entire, because the conquest, they hide the conquest of the South America, they hide the human rights violations in Asia, and also they hide the human rights violation within the USA of the Native Americans. So therefore, recognizing Ramayana, Mahabharata, or the ancient Hindu scriptures as a truth destroys their entire Western civilization. That's the conspiracy. And I can prove it, and world has proven it. Many people have proven it, including the Aryan invasion theory has been proved to be conclusively and scientifically irrelevant today. So it was other way around. It was the Indians who traveled from the Ganga basin to the west and other places due to Parshuram, and many other incidents happened historically, including the War of Mahabharata. I have a very, very special guest. He's written two books, and both the books' titles, I love the titles over there. And also, he's an erudite scholar of Vedic uh, scriptures. So, without delay, let us welcome Dr. RVS Mani.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. I feel welcomed. Right.
So, welcome back after a long time. We used to have a lot of shows together before. RVS Mani, one thing I would like to say a little bit about the incident, the writing of the book Deception. We'll cover in detail in one of the next shows. Why you had to write that book Deception? What was the purpose of it?
Deception, I had to write it. It's a fiction. There's a clear disclaimer out there. Because so many facts relating to the security scenario during a particular phase of time had been manipulated and put out in the public domain. Slowly, it is all unveiling itself by the court orders and all, notwithstanding that, but the internal processes which has gone into, those things need to be told. It's a story that needs to be told, and that is the reason I wrote this book. Incidentally, since the processes and internal systems, most of the intended readers or audience, which is in the diasporic Indians living in United States and UK and other places, they may not be familiar with the processes and systems. The processes and systems had also, which are existing in the bureaucratic India, also need to be explained, because my first book did not really cover this. How the generation happens and all that, how the process of operations and all happen. This is also put up in the book. And third thing, very important thing, the protagonist, in spite of extreme challenges, I don't call them problems, or I call them challenges with the Sanatana Dharma. As per the Sanatana Dharma, it is a challenge, nothing is a problem. So that also the backing of the family institution, because a very important thing here is family institutions are getting more and more discouraged, dismantled and all that. It is very highly hidden in the book, but the good reader can really deduce that this gentleman, the protagonist, would stand up to all sorts of things because of a strong family backing. And Ganesha Icha, I wish a second sequel may come out. Surely it will come out, but now I'm burdened with some important assignments, which also includes we are conducting a yajna at 3 places in Gujarat. These yajnas are known as Kati Rudra, Maha Kati Rudra. Recitation of Rudra and at the same time doing Havan, obeisance to submission before Lord Agni. Incidentally, Agni is the first word in the universe. Whether it is Sanskrit or it is whatever it is, everything starts with Agni. So we wanted to do that. I am one of the coordinators of the project and I am very tied up for that. That is the reason I have been away from all YouTube channels for the recent past. Now I come to the interesting topic. Ganesha Icha, I am speaking to an author who has validated the happenings of Ramayana on a very, very scientific basis. It is beyond challenge. I have not seen a single person challenging any fact. So many people might have read it, might have commented, you know the statistics better. But not a single person from the other side of the academic community or scholarship community has come out and challenged it. Even a single fact, whether it is about the eastern end of the world being Peru or whether it is the western end being Alps or whatever it is, none of the geographical and other facts have been really questioned, challenged, or repudiated. So with that type of erudition, the actor, it also gives me a little bit confidence. Because now having with your work, Mr. Aditya, there is no question about it being challenged. It happened, Ramayana happened.
It's a fact.
Sri Ram walked on this earth. He did meet his challenges. And that is the beauty of it.
No,
but what I'm trying to learn here is not about the Ramayana war, not about the vanquishing of the. I'm insisting that people learn from the life and times of Ramayana, life of Sri Rama.
That's right.
How, in the gravest of the challenges, we could stick to our ordain and move ahead in the context of facing the challenges. Whether it is physiological, whether it is sociological, whether it is psychological, or it is pathological, or whatever arena it may be. That is the essence of this topic. Shall we go ahead?
Yes. Just one point I'll say, add is, when I was doing my study of Ramayana and even now I'm doing my study of Ramayana, in each shloka, because the shloka form of writing was invented by Valmiki Rishi
Valmiki
and his disciple Bharadwaj Muni, which we all worship. It was his disciple, he was his right-hand man. And one very interesting thing comes out, that the society was so scientific that I could not find a reference of disease. They spoke about everything else. Everything else is being spoken, the armies, the structures, but disease is not spoken, Mahamari is not spoken, because the society was healthy and their bodily strength was much higher than today. That was another thing I noticed. And secondly, they absolutely knew the navigation routes and land routes for the whole planet. Nothing was hidden. And when people say the continents are drifting, and no such reference, because Vishwamitra and the main character in Ramayana, Sri Ram, asked so many questions he asked to Vishwamitra, to Vashishta, to Shadbringa, to Sutikshana, to Agastya Rishi, and a beautiful culture. And because I've done both the researches on Mahabharata and Ramayana, and my next book on Pandavas is coming out, and I'm writing it from the geographical point of view, where they went, what they did, because that's what builds up faith. One of the striking thing about Ramayana was that the organization skills. People talk about all kinds of organization skills, but that is one book which shows from thousands of years back, the organization skills were very, very strong, very strong. In fact, the numbers mentioned in managing Ramayana and also the logistics supply was amazing. So I will have you get started here, and I give you a little bit pointers to now we can talk on today's topic and discussion that the Ramayana and the help from Ramayana we can get mental, physical, and ideological strength so that we can fight today's menaces like the widespread diseases. Yeah, please go ahead. It's all yours.
We had on n number of times, Ganesha Icha, we have on n number of times discussed on the theme of Sanatana, what is Sanatana, how the concepts of science has flown right out of Sanatana. We have discussed in this very channel on quite a few occasions, and you would all be recalling that. So basically, any number of variables. I had already, if you recollect again, I had already said that Gana means logic. Ganasya Isha, Gananam Isha is the Lord of logic. He only imputes the logic. Having said that, and how the logic is validated is through the inductive method and the deductive method. This also I have told you, Siddhi and Buddhi Ganesha's concept. Prior to that, we had spoken about the power process continuum, the time scale on the Shiva Shaktiya, how it represents it. So these are all very relevant here when I take it forward, and also about the Brahmanya is the system. You were talking the numbers, the numbers and the logistic support and the planning and the organizing, all this are under the lordship of Brahmanya. So this is the four quadrants of the Sanatana Dharma. You see process areas, utility or the resource areas, technology, system area. These are all the four precepts of management for any of the number of variables you may face. Am I correct? The modern management, whether it is in Harvard or Stanford or best of the management,
Right.
they dwell upon the four basic areas of management. Process area, Shiva; resource area, finance, human resource. All the resource area is Shakti. The technology area is the Ganesha. The systems area, the logistics, the arrival, the dispatch, the rules to be followed, the protocols, one after the, that is the Subramanya. These are all the four precepts of the modern management we had known at that time. So that is never, you should never be surprised that the number, Acha, these are all universal, irrespective of the number of variables and elements you introduce.
That's right.
It could be only 40 variables, it's only 4 million variables, it's only 400 billion variables. All this can be covered in the four broadsheets. And that is how the numbers should not have surprised you. You are a researcher, conversant with the Sanatana themes and concepts. So that is one thing which nobody would be surprised if they are familiar with the Sanatana Dharma. That is eternal order, which has got no beginning, no end. Now, in the COVID, the major challenges when we had this Mahamari, when we had this pandemic, first thing is the pandemic was introduced with a very unholy design, which goes against even on the myth, on a Shatru nation, on a Shatru Rajya. This is not done because it is the human resource which is getting affected, the Shatru nation or their lordship or the kingdom more than that. So it was not acceptable. I stand by the theme of Vedic saying that Anyadya Shuklam, the intent, the effort, everything, including the direction, should be sober, solemn, sacred, pious. So it is culpable upon the country or the nation state which had developed this planning. The very development was also wrong. And having said that, to spread this pandemic is also a big second. It's a bigger wrong, but second in the number. Now, this is a challenge they threw before the humanity, the universe. So now, how do we attack it? What are all the issues, the elements? Mass and masses of populations were getting infected rather, and it is unbelievably humongous task for any of the government to any of the government. It is not. It was not a single director. The phase 2 might have been a single one, or a phase 3 might have been. But overall, in this perspective, COVID spread was a multi-country challenge to the entire universe. And atmosphere does not know about the modern borders and all, which we are now confronted with. As a consequence, the entire, what are the basic is the entire economics, the ecology, the social, the financial, the occupational, every realm of life got challenged, or rather paralyzed, not just challenged, to a great extent, and many places it was paralyzed. The basically Sanatana Dharma is a chariot. It's a chariot which goes on and on and on and on and on. So there was a chariot, we call it Rata, Rati. So this chariot which is permanently moving, whether you like it or not, nobody can stop it. The very process, even in a state of rest, some process is going on. That is what Newton's first law has also said. That keeps on happening, and that is what is the underlying Sanatana. That even in the state of rest, there is some process, some work is happening, and for that some energy is being spent. So this is sort of a chariot which is in a permanent state of permanent motion. And in this context, if you put a spoke in its motion, that is known as aprati. Prati, that is pratiratham they call it. To counter that also, there are stanzas in Vedic thing that aprati ratham we call it. That is a different story. Now, where do we come to Ramayana? Let us take the life of Rama. The amount of training and human resource rigor he has gone through, the most erudite of judges, of the educated people or the rishis, is very, very important to learn the purpose, how to live the life. Very interesting thing. In the Vedas, there is a hymn called Purusha Sukta. Purusha means humans. Sukta means code of life. Am I correct? Sukta is called code of conduct, code of life. And Ramayana, Rama is supposed to be the manifestation or articulation of this Purusha Sukta. That is the very fact. He lived by the Purusha Sukta and he was trained for that. I will take you to again Bhagavad Gita, where the Bhagavan Vishnu says, Sambhavami paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkrita. When such type of pandemics, dushkrita means dushkrita, anything with challenges or happen, I come and act as a living being in the world. It is something similar to that at that time he had to validate how to live by Purusha Sukta, and Purusha Sukta, living by that precepts of Purusha Sukta, is not impossible, and that is the first lesson we need. And what are the essence of Purusha Sukta? Shed laziness, seek knowledge, have highest level of righteousness, do unto your duty, though without flinching, whatever may be the challenge. Keep the promise, keep the word, accept the hierarchy. When Dasharatha says, no, you are going to be there, Respect the system, accept the hierarchy. I'm not talking of elder or younger or anything. Accept the system, accept the hierarchy, because hierarchy also has a person higher in the hierarchy has more power than you. So these are all the good conduct list which had been listed out, and he first thing is when he lived by that. The voice of karma. So that is the beauty of Ramayana. That is the first lesson we learned. One is the rigor of learning he went through. Thereafter, he gets married through whatever is the process as existed at that time. Subsequently, when he is ordained by his father and the Raja of that time, because you have to go back to Ramayana again. The ancestors of Ramayana is Dasharatha's father is Aji. Am I correct? From Aji comes the Dasharatha. Now, why this Dasharatha came? You see, just see the name, Dasharatha. I spoke about Ratha now. Now, why all these things happened? Why Ramavatara happened? There was another gentleman, a huge king, very powerful, highly devoted. See, he was a Bhakta. Bhakta means devotion. Bhakta means belief. Bhakta means commitment. Bhakta means Shraddha. He was a person who was also equally strong. He had been bestowed by the Lord Mahadeva that nobody can vanquish him, and he had been, as long as he was doing the best things in the larger interest of the humanities, like now he was like China now. Absolutely powerful. Generally nobody challenges. Am I correct? At that time, and his name was Dashanana. That means he had 10 qualities in him, 10 huge qualities in him, excellent powers. For that, and he was challenging the entire Ratha. He was stopping the entire Ratha in type of theft. He can stop the entire Ratha in 10 different elements or Dasharatha. Dasharatha stood for Sanatana Dharma. So he had his sons here. So all the powers get transferred here. And here it is Dashanana has to be confronted by the same Lord. No human or no citizen of the or no person of this universe should have challenged him, accepting. So that is the reason the entire, as they say, now modern principles have come that every man rises to his own level of incompetence and all this Peter principle. But these are all basically having their roots there. For a Dashanana wreaking havoc in the world or doing quite a few not very Sanatanic work, which is affecting the chariot motion or acceleration or whatever it is, you require the similar type of, you require to present him similar type. So Dashanana has to be confronted by somebody from the Dasharatha's offspring. Am I correct? Any challenge? Hello? So that is how the connection comes. So for Dasharatha, he sends his son. Then how does he train him in different type of elements? 14 years of Vanavasa. See, that 14 years Vanavasa could not have happened. Had it not happened, the Ramayana would not have happened. That's very salient to this. So it is the process, the life process, Shiva you call it. Shiva who is acting the entire events. We all know that every process is a Shiva. So this process also happened. This is also Shiva. His sojourn in Vanavasa or jungles for 14 years. Then at the end of the said hibernation, even the best of the, because we also know that in the stage of vanaprastha also people get into the detachment mode. Here he had to live the life of a seer. So it is all designed because Dasharatha is to be restored. Dasharatha's ideal, Dasharatha's process, irrespective of in what way. It is Dasharatha not just meant as king. He was much beyond that. He represents the entire process of chariot, which is the development chariot or whatever you call it. And he was being at that time not exactly he personally, because the entire thing happened to restore the motion of Dasharatha. Am I correct, Mr. Aditya?
Yeah.
And how it was occurring, because there were a Dashanana across the sea who was challenging this. All the Dashanana had different type of powers in each of the Anand head. It represents. So that is the connection. Now, if you have a China here, which is keeping on challenging us, which spread the pandemic, which developed the pandemic, which spread the pandemic, similar illegal things, non-anyadya shuklam, non-pious, non-sacred things, where because it is not just the pandemic which has challenged the world. Quite a few years there has been a trend among this China to spread the development of several nations, whether it is I'm not talking about India or anything like that. There have been challenges to Hong Kong, the challenges to Taiwan and other places in the region. That is number one. Number two, excessive destructive Durva, Mayaskara, destructive assistance and coalitions with Pakistan and now with Taliban also. These things are happening. And for that, the Dasharatha had to he has to sear a child. He seared 4 children through the blessings of his gurus from which so because they had to be at different levels. They had to be at different levels. This is a different part of the story, but what is relevant to the context is to counter Dashana, Dashrath had to write the plans. Because this is the Ratha, this is a chariot, and that is a challenge. So that is the connection we have to see. Now we have a situation that his ultimate wrongdoing happened by virtue of kidnapping of the Earth's daughter. You know why Earth? Earth is known as Vasu. That's the reason even we call the Lord Krishna's avatar as Vasudeva. Vasu is Earth. He is the Lord of Earth. So Vasudeva, it's something like the Vasuki. He ultimately tried to take over that. And that is where because that is where the nemesis happened to him. Dasharatha's son had to go and take him on in a war. How the war happened, he had also done the best to not to get into a war. Same type of aggrandizement which the Chinese Republic is presently doing, whatever may be there. Similar thing that happened. And that is how the aggrandizing entity was vanquished by the son of Dasharatha. And Dasharatha, the chariot was established. This is a particularly new interpretation, but I have been thinking over it. I have done, there is nothing to, because even when and the present Chinese government also, we have seen what is it doing. So this is a very important point. How did he get the capacity, Dasharatha's son, build the capacity? It is not just by the rigorous training. It is not just the 14 years of Vanavasa or hibernation. In addition to that, the very fact that he lived by the Purusha Sukta, the conduct of what has been prescribed in the Sanatana Dharma, he lived by that highest level of commitment, no wrongdoings, extremely clear, no challenges to anybody which is righteous. That is the reason he is still known as the Maryada Purushottam. Not only that, even after vanquishing the Dashanana, when he comes back and when he is challenged, he respects it, and that is the biggest epitome of democracy in the country, in the world. That is the biggest, against the biggest monarchical times also, the righteousness drove him towards the highest, first and biggest epitome of democracy. That is also a very important part. So what we say is the present leaders who have confronted with the pandemic of COVID, they also need to raise themselves to the level of Rama as the monarch or a king or the ruler or whatever it is, or the prime minister or executive head or state head. That is number one. And at the individual level, because it is Swadharma, then the community level is called Varnadharma, and the entire, because the leaders have to do as a community, the community of world leaders, they are also supposed to be living by that benchmark set into the Purusha Sukta. Coming down each individual who is working for the, because whether people like it or not, whether Abrahamic or non-Abrahamic, the fact that the postulates of science which establish the power, process power continuum, that is a validated fact, and we are all going through that, whether it was a New Testament or resurrection of Jesus or whatever it says. So in this, but this is a fact which can be validated everywhere. This cannot be discounted. Having said that, now I come to the next part. Every community leader, every community of world leaders, whether it is the regional cooperation groups, whether it is a United Nations type organization, they have the leaders have to raise themselves to the Sanatana, to the Purusha Sukta level. How do they do it? First thing you accept the truth. And the truth has got only one version, Ekam Satyam. Stop being in self-denial. You are a leader because it is your dharma to be, it is your order to be working for your own people, your own citizens, your own stakeholders. Don't manipulate. Stop being in self-denial that it won't affect me, because even China should also now stop being in self-denial. It can affect their own people also. I don't know. God forbid anything like that. Third, everything as they say, act in the larger interest of the community. All your actions, this is for every citizen, whether he is in the ruling dispensation or is in the opposition or is a state chief minister or a federal chief minister or whatever it is. Every person vis-a-vis, I mean, as they call it as vis-a-vis, in law they call it as qua their voters, be truthful, stop being in self-denial, don't manipulate, free flow of aushadhi or vaccines, everything. All these things are all Raja Dharma. It is not only Raja Dharma, it is Swadharma also. Even I should not deny if something I have an access and I'm not giving it to it. It is also a part of Swadharma. Every individual should be committed to that. Live, at least in this is a challenging time which we have faced in the last 1.5 years. This is the best time to reinforce our commitment to live by the highest code of conduct for individuals. That is the Purusha Sukta. And that is what Lord Rama lived by. I would call it Raja Ram lived by, because Raja Ram had the welfare of his citizens upmost in his mind, the Sanatana Dharma upmost in his mind, not to arrest the Ratha upmost in his mind. And that is what the present day leaders, irrespective of their commitment or their party or their ideology, should learn. That it is, they may learn it in crude form, they may not learn it through the process of Purusha Sukta or as a, because their belief may be different. They may be programmed to believe in something else. Notwithstanding that, this cannot be denied that this development of the entire process of the chariot running, in Hindi they call it Abhiyan or the chariot or Ratha, going on seamlessly, should not be arrested, and any challenge, that is what I said, apratiratam, any challenges to the motion should be curbed with cooperative efforts, combined effort, and if possible, individual effort. That is the reason, if you see in Ramayana, even the five bhutas, the five elements, Pavanaputra Hanuman, everybody supported the cause of the Ratha vanquishing the Dashanana's not so desirable challenges, which was not righteous, of taking over a woman of who had taken a vow before the Agni to be the Sahadharmini, co dharma. Saha means co, Dharmini means the order. So she is the coordinate of that person. Don't call him Ram, don't call him Sita. Of course, that's a different thing. A lady had taken vote. They have said, Ekamishe Vishnu Anvetu. That means we are all one together. And he tried to separate that process also. Dashanana, whether it was for whatever reason. Third point, he was the highest Shiva Bhakta and all that. Fine. What made him take over? Was it aham or moha? Anybody who raises himself above the aham, that is the desire, ego, and moha is the desire, he becomes Mahadeva, and that also is vitiated in this matter. And that is all sorts of all spokes into the motion of the Ratha were introduced. So right from Aji, it has been so that is the reason, that is the basic lesson. Now what Chinese is doing, or they have taken over, they are trying to take over the resources of, say, Pakistan. They have set up a port in the Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka people should be more concerned about it, because they have seen in their own land how injustice, wrongful doings, all these things are always challenged by some Sambhavami you gave. The process cannot be stopped. And if these type of negative forces are brought into it, adequate succor will happen, and the nature itself, or nature's consort. The consort of the nature is the Bhumi. That is represented by Sita here. And Sri Lanka is the most affected state even then. And I don't know what is the COVID situation there, but they should at least appreciate this point, and be much more wary about allowing China to take over their landfill. So there are several aspects to it. It will take at least 3 hours to cover it, but I just wanted to share the thematic issue. I brought it before you. I would like to take a few questions if anybody is interested, or floor is you, Mr. Aditya.
Yeah, I'm getting questions from the students. First of all, thank you for sharing your perspective from the Ramayana point of view, that what does Dashanan represents and Dashrath represents. I did a lot of research on Ayodhya. In one of the chapters is Ayodhya. See, people will not understand Ramayana if they don't understand Valmiki. Because Valmiki, see, before I trust you, I need to know who are you. Just a general question. Okay, the person behind, what is his character, what is his personality, what is he stands for. Now, Sri Ram becomes glorious if you understand how glorious was Dashrath. Dashrath had created the city of, he got the city of Ayodhya, which was created by Manu. And he made it Ayodhya, means nobody could win it. And it was a city created by Manu. So now his son Sri Ram like always a son goes after the father. So one thing Sri Ram, one of the biggest inspiration of Sri Ram was Dashrath was also known as Varta Varchasva. Means
Hmm.
nobody could win him over on an argument. He was logician, he was a logical person. Plus, even though he was old by age, but he was a very great warrior. So Ayodhya was a city of warriors and artists, and businessmen from all over the world used to live in Ayodhya. That's why even today, Thailand, I had just a last show we had by Anita Bosji. So she proved that Thailand, Indonesia, Cambodia, these people, they swore by Ayodhya. The word is
Ayodhya.
Ayudh. That's what they use.
Ayodhya. No, no wars.
Yeah, you cannot fight on Ayodhya. You just impossible for anyone to fight. And the point which I'm trying to say, I'm saying fight not just in military. In business, you cannot fight. In diplomacy, you cannot fight. You cannot fight in the technological advances. Ayodhya was a huge city.
Sampurna Rajya.
Yeah, the dimensions of Ayodhya, which is mentioned, is almost like 90 miles by 24 miles. That was the length. 96 miles by 24 miles is the length mentioned of Ayodhya. So my question to you is, we all want Ram Rajya, but we do not talk about Dashrath, and we don't talk about Sri Ram. We don't want Sri Ram. We don't want Dashrath. So how can people get Ram Rajya? Means freedom from all kinds of anxiety, including diseases.
That's what I said. Dasharatha, you told about the individual elements of virtues. But you see, combine all of them, the business center, the warrior class, the Varchasva, the Vacha Varchasva, every quality he had in different Ratha. You each one, see the intellect has to develop, the spoken ability has to, the musical development has to take place, the artistic development. Each one is a Ratha. And all of them combined together is Dasharatha. Are you getting it? That's what I said for, because Ravan was also, the Dashanana was also no less. And to counter that, the Dasharatha had to integrate and then bring Ram into this as avatara. 4 children he brought. Ram into the avatara, only then he could confront him. Nobody else could have confronted. That is the beauty of this. Now, China also, in the present context I am talking, which has seared this entire COVID, which is allegedly or what, even now it is well proved. There also, to take on that, you require this type of a Dasharatha, sons. And Rama Rajya, you said Sampurna Rajya. The Sampurna include all the 10 Rathas. It is not, each Ratha represented one element of the virtue in the Ayodhya. Whether it is the ability of each individual on music or art or ability of the business or trading or production or technology, everything, or even warfare. Although it was Ayodhya, but even the warfare capabilities have to be instilled. So that, and warfare, why Subramanya is called the warrior class also, Mahasenapati is also, because war is all about systems. The best systems have to be there, and that they had. So it was unchallenged system prevalent during those times in the Ayodhya, which made Dasharatha what it is. It is not that Dasharatha was any name or anything. He had the qualities of 10 Raths, and each quality had a different element behind that. What all you spoke just now, like the music or the technology, different type of element. And that fellow had each element in his head. So he could not have been challenged by anybody else. And that is the reason the Lord Mahadeva took a sort of avatara in the terms of, or Vishnu, because Vishnu is the Vishwam Vishnum Vasishtakaro. It is Vishwa, the world's, as I told you, Vasudeva, the world's head is the Vishnu. The process of sustenance, the process of maintenance, and that needs to be continued. And that process of maintenance, sustenance is the Ratha. The 10 Ratha, all the aspects of the humanity have to be developed and taken forward together. Otherwise, it will be a lopsided Vishnu.
Vishwa. It will be a lopsided world. So that is what is the Dasharatha represent. The 10 elements are there. Vishnu says, I have these 10 elements and they have to develop together hand in hand. So Vishnu takes avatara in his house. This Dasharatha, and I will do whatever challenges are there. And that is how it took out. And the entire rigor is explained. It is not that he was born and simply went and demonology. He had to go through entire rigor, where 14 years sansara and all that.
No, the
Right,
the
please.
very amazing the story. The more you read Ramayana, the more you love it. It's never a boring topic. One of the things is when Vishwamitra came to Sri Ram to take him to actually Vishwamitra wanted to purify his knowledge because he had collected so many weapons and he knew Sri Ram is Vishnu. And ultimately, Samsiddhi Haritoshanam, everything is offered to Vishnu back. And so he wanted to purify his wealth of knowledge and he gave Sri Ram 98 weapons. 98. Dashrath was scared. And I listed down all the names of different weapons there and who from where he got them also. And not only he gave them 98 weapons, plus he gave them 32 to counteract those 98 also. So he had both sides he has given. How to, if somebody has the same weapon, then they can counteract it. So Dashrath was scared to send him out of his love for Sri Ram. And he was very old also. And Sri Vishwamitra convinced him. Initially, he was upset also, but he convinced him. And Vashishta Muni was the biggest competitor of Vishwamitra and who gave Vishwamitra Brahmanatva also. Vashishta Muni convinced Dashrath to send Sri Ram for the benefit of Sri Ram and for the benefit of Vishwamitra also. Because Vashishta was a guru of Vishwamitra also, in a way. The point which I'm trying to say is that after that 10 years, Sri Ram, he comes back after winning Janaki and comes back to the Ayodhya. And then again he goes out to Vanvas. Now the Vanvas, 10 years he is in Dandakaranya. 2 years he is in Janasthan, where Agastya Muni is there, and Nashik, today is Nashik Godavari.
Right.
And very interesting thing says, Agastya Muni says this is the upper boundary of the kingdom of Dashanan. Now Dashanan is exactly in the south, exactly from there. It's on prime meridian coming through Jain and
Right.
and around 100 yojana from the southern tip of India. That's where the information Valmiki is. And the question that I have is, Dasharath, now Sri Ram, when he punishes Vali, he says, Ikshwaku Vansh is ruling the planet. And on the authority of Bharat Maharaj, I have the power to give danda to anybody. So now the danda is also used here because sometimes the danda is very important to install dharma because everybody is not going to follow dharma just
It's
on
like a
the
penal
request.
code now.
You know? So what is your view on that, sir?
See, basically, if you go to the literal interpretation, yes, geographically he had indicated because, as it said, the Raj Dharma had been to counterbalance the adharma which is coming out right from the south of whatever it is, and Ravana or Dashanana which was there. It was, and that was the purpose of one of the purpose of, because it is again re-establishment of dharma. Indeed, Vali had a problem. He had allied with that. So it is something like when you take a war ahead, initially the allies are presented to you to counter you and challenge you. That type of a thing has been recaptured here. Because ultimately Ikshvaku's dynasty was ruling Ayodhya. And it's all because of Ikshvaku, which is coming through the virtues, the virtuousness of all you explained is all because of the lineage also coming from Ikshvaku, thereafter Aji, Dasharatha, Sri Rama, Lava, Kusha and all. So, but the basic question again is that had to be done to re-establish the dharma, because Vishnu had to ensure that the life sustenance, the universal sustenance and maintenance continue. That is his reality, and Sri Rama was Vishnu. We all know that. So, if any small sacrifices had to be made for the larger issue of sustenance, sustaining the universe, it had to be done, and that is where, if you do not have the power, it will be unauthorized killing. So he had to show that I am from the dynasty A. I have been empowered by the present king B, and that is the reason I am taking your life. He had to tell Bali. Otherwise, the entire thing would have been rested, and maybe some sort of a more negativity would have spread like that. I think you agree with that.
Yes, I agree. And thank you so much, Maniji. I know you have a busy schedule. And for those of you who learned something from this video, do share it. And it's all the process of as much we discuss. One life is very small. And about Sri Ram, the qualities, the character, the personality, and always he was ready for war. That is one thing I must tell you. He was always in Kavach, and Dhanush and Ban was always with him. And sometimes you need, so we all cannot become Sri Ram, but we can follow in his footsteps and do a little bit. Okay, that's it. Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you very much. Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.